ago, I had a happy hour with some friends, and I made some what are just plain old fried bread balls. And in Italy, they're called Coccoli. And everybody loved them, and I promised them that they were really, really easy to make, and nobody believed me. So it's time to prove it. So we found these the first time. I was fortunate enough to be invited to join my sister on sabbatical in Florence for a week several years ago. My last Sunday there, we went to Osteria di Giovanni, and they brought us this plate of absolutely the finest things we'd ever tasted. And they were called Coccoli. We just thought of them as being fried bread balls and the best thing ever. And so we talked to Judy Franchini, and as she said, mine are a whole lot better than his, which we found to be ridiculous because his were the best things we'd ever tasted. And she's right, hers are a whole lot better than his. And they take just a couple minutes to make. This is one of the most forgiving recipes ever. So we'll get started. We're going to start with 500 grams of 00 flour. If you want to use American flour, you can. You just may need to up the water. But you can get 00 at Whole Foods, you can get it at Central Market, you can get it on Amazon. So it's pretty much attainable. It usually comes in a 1 pound package called Tipo, T-I-P-O, I believe. So first of all, we're gonna weigh it simply because that's the best way to do anything when you're baking. So we've got 00, and we need quick 500 grams. And there we go, 500 exactly. So we're gonna start there. And now we're going to add in 2 teaspoons of sugar, 2 teaspoons of salt. We're going to just kind of stir those in a little bit. And then yeast. Here again, this is a very forgiving recipe. So this is between 1½ and 1 3/4 teaspoons. Go higher if you're going to do it the same day. If you're going to pop it in the refrigerator, you do the lower number. So we're just going to dump that in and stir it. We need some water. And we have 350 milliliters, which is right around 1.5 cups. And we need 2 tablespoons of oil, which I'm just going to pop into my water. That's pretty much it. So now we're going to make a well in the middle. And I'm going to pour in most of the water, but I'm not going to put quite all of it in because we'll see what we need as we get along. And rubber scraper, we're just going to start smushing it. And we're going to have dough here in just a moment. Get this nicely incorporated. It's going to be a fairly damp dough, and that's okay. It's exactly what we want. And we need some more of this water, so we'll just put it in. Weather does enter into things, so sometimes you need it all and sometimes you don't. We're going to do just a little bit more. Okay, so we have a nice looking dough that's come away from the sides, and we're a little damp, and that's just fine. And basically that's it. So what we're going to do now is take a little bit of olive oil and drizzle the top. So I'm going to cover it, and I'm going to put it someplace nice and warm and give it a couple of hours to rise, and I'll be back shortly. The dough has now been rising probably for 2.5 hours, and it is wonderful. You can see it's risen so much, and it's great. Got some nice flour on our breadboard, And we're gonna flour my hands because it is kind of sticky dough right now. And we're gonna flip it out. And we'll give it a little bit of a knead here. It's a wonderful, soft, lovely, lovely dough. So what we're gonna do now is I'm going to start making it into Coccoli. So I'm just gonna use a bench scraper. And we're gonna start making bread balls. And they're gonna be about the size of a golf ball. So I'm just gonna cut this into some nice little pieces. I tend to flatten it out a little bit and then make them into, pinch them at the bottom and turn them into some nice size. That's bigger than a golf ball, but it's a nice sizable ball. So you can do really pretty much whatever size you want. I'm gonna put them on a parchment sheet, and I'm gonna sort of take my time so that they can rise a little bit now. They don't need a lot of time, but just the amount of time it's gonna take you to make some bread balls is gonna be a great length of time for them to rise. Now, we're gonna do this in olive oil. This is not the time to use the good stuff. This is the time for olive oil, not extra virgin, none of the expensive, just the basic olive oil is really, really perfect for frying. So that's what we'll do for that, and I'll be back in a minute. So our Coccoli are now rising nicely over here. So we're just gonna let them go. The olive oil is in the pot. We're gonna let that go. We're heating that up. It'll probably be somewhere around 350. You can always tell when it's at temp when you throw a little bit of flour in and it sizzles. So that's gonna take a couple minutes. So in the meantime, I'm gonna make part of the filling. One, you can use mascarpone, which is great. I did that last time, and I tend to cut it with a little bit of creme fraiche so it's not quite as firm, because I like it softer. You can also use a burrata if you want. I love the goat cheese, cream cheese that Trader Joe's has. I think it's pretty fabulous stuff. So I use that, and then here again, I will cut it with some creme fraiche so it's a little softer. I just get those together so that we have got a nice kind of soft, spreadable inside. So I'll go check on my oil, and we will have some pretty fabulous Coccoli here fairly soon. Okay, so our oil is hot. Let's see how it does with the flour test. Can you see it sizzle? So it's ready. Remember, when you're frying, if you put too many things in, you're going to really lower the temperature of the oil, and then things get oily. So a few at a time is great. So we're just going to lower these in gently, and we're going to let them go. We want them to become a really pretty nice golden brown, and at that point they'll be done all the way through. So when they come out of the oil, I have a sheet pan with a brown paper bag underneath it, which is a great means of draining things. And then I put a rack on it. You can do it directly on the brown paper bag, and that's fine. And then I'm going to immediately hit it with some salt. They're in about 1.5 inches of olive oil at this stage. So you don't need anything terribly deep, but you need enough so that they can float. Sometimes you have to hold them down because they have a favorite side that they like to be up. And to get the bottom side, get a little color on those as well. Sometimes you have to hold them. So the first 4 are done. And we'll pop those over here and give them a little salt. We'll move them around so they don't stick. And there we go. Okay, so the last of the Coccoli have been fried up. We've got the creme fraiche and goat cheese, cream cheese mixture, the prosciutto, and we're just gonna take a Coccoli, split it in half, put in a nice piece of prosciutto, and a lovely dollop of the cream cheese, and that is a perfect bite. Hope you all make it and have a great time. Your family and friends will love it. If you're gonna head to Florence or Tuscany, give me a call and I'll give you Judy's name and number, and she'll tell you all kinds of wonderful things. At any rate, have fun, enjoy it. They're pretty wonderful. Thanks, bye-bye.